the Morning Hookup on KFOR.
Good morning, Lincoln. That's the best Bill Hooks impression I'll do. It's a happy Monday to you. Elijah Herbal joined in studio here by Hugh Malone. Bill Hooks out on a Monday, so taking you through this Monday show.
Shiny, happy people.
Little REM.
And?
What's her name?
Kate Pearson.
Okay, yeah.
From B-52s.
Oh.
Yes. That's why you bring me in, right? All that useless 80s music knowledge. Right.
Yeah.
It's not that I know a darn thing about sports. Now we got to try and get through the next 2 hours, don't we?
Now I got to start thinking about this.
What are we going to talk? What are we going to talk about?
I got to stump you.
No, good luck. Many have tried. I think that's why Will left.
He can never get you. We did have Will back in last Thursday.
I know. That was great. I was listening. Bill had reached out, and unfortunately, I was having to work, but we were stopped, or I was on my way or somewhere, and I was able to tune in, and just very, very nostalgic to see Will sitting in here with the flowing locks.
It was good to see him. It had been a while. So.
Don't worry about the little fella.
I don't worry about him.
He took care of himself.
The problem is like sometimes I wonder what he's up to, and then he posts up an Instagram story on the golf course while I'm at work, and I'm like, oh, that's what he's up to.
Yeah.
That
Must be nice.
That sounds nice.
Pick 6 numbers right, and you can be there.
I've been trying. Anyway, it's Elijah Herbal, Hugh Malone taking you through this Monday show. We got plenty to get to on a Monday. Evan Bland's coming your way a little bit later here, a little over an hour away. We'll talk some Husker baseball with Evan Bland. We got NBA finals, couple of Game 7s to discuss. One yesterday, one on Saturday. Neither close, but I think we learned a lot from both of those games. We also have a couple NHL Game 7s. I know we don't talk much hockey on this show, aside from whenever Dane Todd hops in on Fridays. But
playoffs.
We had a double overtime Game 7 thriller last night between the St. Louis Blues and the Winnipeg Jets. The Jets winning just their third series in franchise history, third overall playoff series. As they get the Game 7 winner. They scored 2 goals in the last, 90 seconds to tie it up, and then they score the winner in double overtime.
That's crazy. To
advance on. They're going to be taking on the Dallas Stars next round, so we'll get to that just a little bit later. Before we open things up, too.
And you also had a Game 1 in the NBA last night, too, that I would say was kind of surprising. We can get to that.
A little bit less surprising for me. More that I think the Cavs played an all right game, and they still couldn't get it. Like, I didn't think they performed badly.
I don't either. It's just
I was more impressed with how well the Pacers played on the road.
Crazy
in Game 1. So I wouldn't say it was entirely surprised, because if it had been a 40-point blowout, I would have been entirely surprised. The Cavs played up to their level. It was just the Pacers that kind of went out there and
you'll have to
early.
Keep an eye on this series and make sure you ask Henry T about it Wednesday when he comes on, because he's, that's where he's from.
Yeah.
He's deep down, he's a Pacers fan. And to me, you say Indiana Pacers, I think, wow, they haven't really been relevant since Reggie Miller?
Let's
be honest.
Since Larry Bird was coaching there?
Right. It's not a team where you can just roll off stars off the tip of your tongue like the Lakers or, the Celtics, something like that. So,
yeah.
Pacers.
Speaking of the Celtics, I love the name matchup we're getting tonight with the New York Knicks and the Boston Celtics. That is a fun second round just name matchup. I think the Celtics should roll in that series.
Should.
I got personally my pre-series prediction is Celtics in 5.
But you got to remember, to me, the Celtics probably were the most talented team, top to bottom, by far in the Eastern Conference, and they're the 2 seed.
Yep.
Okay, well, anything can happen, and make no mistake. The New York Knicks have made all these deals to bring these players in, whether it's Bridges, they went out and got Karl Anthony Towns, and it was in anticipation of this series for this season. Yeah. So,
and they got, the guy in the NBA I probably trust the most in the clutch with the ball in his hands is Jalen Brunson.
Yes, very hard to defend too.
Yeah. It's hard to stay in front of him, and he always seems, when he gets going downhill, always seems to make the right decision. 9 times out of 10, that's draw the foul. But
Right.
he always seems to make the right decision with the ball in his hands down the stretch.
And on the other side, you have Jason Tatum.
Mhm.
So it should be a very, very interesting matchup.
Yeah.
But we had some baseball this weekend?
Nuggets Thunder also.
Okay.
I understand that's not the big matchup. As a Nuggets fan, I understand. Everyone's
And is that'll be game 1, right?
Yeah, everyone's expecting the Nuggets to get rolled in that one. We'll see. But let's start off talking some baseball.
Let's talk some baseball.
I guess they start off like we didn't just spend 5 minutes talking.
Start off
other things.
So now that we're a half hour into the show, let's start off with
Husker baseball getting a much needed series victory over the weekend,
which took the last 2 games to do. After,
are we concerned about Will Walsh?
I don't know. It depends on any given week on where your concern is going to be with that team, right?
4 straight Friday losses for the Huskers. They've opened their weekends with 4 straight Friday losses with your guy Will Walsh in the bump.
When you say your guy,
it was supposed to be McConaughey,
right?
I understand.
He was thrust into that because of injuries.
But it's the guy. It's even if it's not the guy you had preseason, it's the guy that you've chosen throughout this season to be your Friday guy.
Who is, I mean, for the most part, steady. I mean, he's not going to go in there and overpower you. I mean, he's great with his pitch selection. For the most part, his pitch location. And for those that stuck around Friday night, you were able to tie that game up. And you can see it on social media. Fans are like, we've got this, we've got this. In fact, they almost have a chance to win on Friday night. Joshua Overbeek hit a ball that maybe looked like off the bat it was going to go, and it got caught out there in left field. Final out, we go extra innings. I think Minnesota put up a 2 spot there in the top of the 10th, and Nebraska could not answer on Friday night. But hey, they left the fireworks in the bag.
Yeah,
because they got the walk off then on Saturday, and of course wrap up the series win.
Come from behind on a Sunday.
Yes, on a Sunday. We'll be interested. We'll talk with Evan when we have him on next hour about what's in front of Nebraska baseball. They've got 2 series left. You've got one at home against Michigan this upcoming weekend, which, you're going to see a lot of the seniors for senior day on their last home game. Michigan right now, I think, sits about 6th in the conference at 14-10. You get them at home, which is good. And then you close out the season going to Purdue, which I think is they've kind of underachieved this year. I think they're about 11th, I want to say, in the standings at 9-15 in conference play. They're just a couple games out right now of, trying to get back in, because only the top 12 teams make that tournament, the conference tournament. So they'll be fighting for their tournament lives. It's in front of Nebraska because right now they're only about a game away from being out into 7th place. So there's a lot of teams jumbled up right there. So it's in front of them. And I think this is where you need Coach Bolt to go out and earn his keep after. I mean, we'll be honest. This isn't where we expected Nebraska baseball to be when this season started. A preseason top 25 team based upon not only the returning staff you had, but the position players, a lot of experience coming back. And obviously the injury we just talked about to your Friday night starter didn't hit. And you just have not got the consistent hitting, I think, that you were expecting all season. It's a funny game. We're both very, very involved in this game, and it can bring you to your knees. We have seen it.
Yep.
So,
but yeah, to your point though, it's so jumbled in that middle of the Big Ten right now. You're a game out of 7th spot. Who right now that's Illinois has got that. They're at 12-12. You have 1, 2, 3 teams locked at 12-12. Penn State's at 13-14. They've played more games than you're sitting there at 11-13, just a game back from jumping up into that jumbled mess. Currently all tied for 7th. I guess the tiebreakers break it up, but then you're 2 games away from being out of the Big Ten tournament entirely.
Right.
You have a 2-game lead on Purdue.
Does that sound eerily similar to what we just went through a couple months ago with basketball? So I don't know. Do we just jinx it? I mean, that's our job to talk about it. So you can call it jinx or whatever. But baseball obviously is a superstitious sport.
These teams are trending in different directions, though. You feel the trend with Husker basketball.
You hope so.
They were so up and down, and I guess.
Well, okay. Explain to me how the baseball team's different.
Because there was stretches mid-season with basketball where you saw the bad version of that team come out.
Yes.
Husker baseball, they started the year rough, but they have been picking up steam ever since. I would say the calendar turned to mid-April. really since
I think since the Iowa series
I'll say
that they had a chance to win that Iowa series out there in Iowa City.
I would say it started to flip Oregon State, though, last weekend of March.
Okay.
You started to get a little confidence. It wasn't all put together because you had to go take your lump against Iowa. But then once you took your lumps against Iowa,
well, but did they really get? I mean, you lost what? They lost the one 0-1.
Yeah, on Friday night.
And I think they maybe, Saturday wasn't. I think they lost by 7. Was 16 to or 6-13, maybe
11-6.
11-6, and then of course you won Sunday. But you had a chance.
You did.
And Iowa right now is first place in the Big Ten at what, 21-6?
21-6. Yes,
yeah. I'm going this off the cuff.
Yeah.
You impressed?
Yeah,
I don't have any notes
I'm
open.
kind of impressed that you had.
I have no notes open for this. All right.
Yeah. But maybe that was you built some confidence against Oregon State. You lost series against Iowa. I think the first 2 games you took your lumps, but then Sunday's a bit of, okay, we got one against them. Not many teams have done that this year in the Big Ten. And it's been confident baseball ever since then.
And see right there, that word, I don't know how we would ever be able to use that with this team, because normally when you talk about confidence, it usually is a team that's younger, where you're bringing a lot of newcomers in, a lot of underclassmen, where you go out and you win those games so they can get the feel of it and see that yes, you can compete. This is a very veteran team that the confidence that this shouldn't be an issue, to be honest. You every time you take that field, you should know that you have that ability. If not, the expectations that you're going to win this game. And maybe that'll serve them when they get into the tournament.
The place I think you've really seen in the lineup, the bats were an issue. I think you've brought some guys into the fold from a batting perspective that have brought a little spark to that lineup. Number one name you think of is Max Butenbach.
Yeah, the old Southeast Night, huh?
He's coming in. He's hit the cover off the ball.
Oh, yeah.
Since he's gotten consistent in the lineup. I mean, you're looking at
They usually use him to DH, don't they?
304 average. And he's also got the 7 home runs on the year, which is only one behind Tyler Stone leading the team. And he's a guy that, I mean, for the first month of the season was on the pine. Right.
Yeah, well, because there was the battle for first base between him and help me out, the youngster, the lefty, Case Sanderson.
Okay, yeah.
Those guys were battling for defensive for starting at first base, and you assumed between those two that the other one was going to DH. And baseball's a game of opportunities. I mean, I see it, with my son's team in high school. It doesn't matter. The coaches you're usually going to be about even out there defensively at most positions. And that coach will go with who is swinging the hot bat, and it's the same thing you see it, at the next level too.
I mean, he's slugging 563. 563, he's slugging. He also has a 403 on base percentage. One thing to note here, we've complained about this plenty early in the season where things are starting to flip. Nebraska's on base percentage is up to 372.
Good, because I mean, I think one of the first times I think when the season started and you and I were working together that we talked about just that was really struggling. The walks were down, but the strikeouts were up. Mm-hmm. And when that on-base percentage starts to flip, obviously it coincides with your base hits, but then you're not chasing bad pitches. Maybe you're getting ahead in the count, making that pitcher work a little bit, and you're getting 6, 7, 8, pitch at bats, and maybe end up getting those walks. Yep. And that's going to be critical coming into the postseason.
And one thing that did flip over the weekend is, well, and first off, let's note here, it's not Big Ten play, but you are even overall.
24-24?
24-24. This weekend, it did flip, though. Now, you have now struck out your opponents more than you have struck out.
Well, I guess that
flipped this weekend. You were looking the other way for most of the season there. Opponents have now struck out more than you have.
Good.
Important number. You're up to 372 with the on-base percentage. And whenever I look at confidence with this baseball team, you got a spark from the lineup, but you've seen younger arms, especially out of that bullpen, come in and gain confidence. And you have to learn how to pitch at this level. And sometimes you just have to do that by going out there and getting shelled once and realizing you can't do that again.
Right.
How to pitch whenever you don't necessarily have your best stuff, I think is the best way to put it. Because you're not going to go out there and have your best stuff every single time you take the mound. It's how do you make it through that inning and a third as a reliever, a young guy, whenever you step on the bump, throw your first couple pitches and realize, all right, I don't have my best stuff today. And I think you've had some guys that are Blahovich is one name. He's stepped up, and I think even when he doesn't have his best stuff, he's kind of learned how to pitch. Luke Broderick coming in kind of that closer role has really, really come on strong. I think he's learned how to pitch at this level.
I'm waiting for Clevenger.
Yeah.
I think he's really dealt with some injuries since he transferred over from Tulane before last year. That's a guy I'm just drooling waiting for him to hit. And you got to remember though too that most of these guys when they were back in high school, you didn't have to have your best stuff because if your breaking pitches weren't working, okay, well I'm gonna just go out there and blow it by these high school kids at 91 miles an hour, and that's going to be good enough. And that doesn't work when you get to college because everyone is playing college ball because they can hit a 91 mile an hour fastball. It's, am I getting my movement? Am I hitting my spots on certain counts? Am I not throwing one right down the middle when it's 0-2 that I've been told not to do since I've been 10? And, am I working that plate front to back, side to side? And, Rob Childress is as good a pitching coach as you're going to find, obviously. But there are a lot of young arms in there that obviously have been required to just because of the shuffling with injuries and stuff like that. The future's bright. It's just a matter. The talent is there, and the coaches will tell you the same thing. It's about getting the thing kick-started and getting these guys to play to their potential. If they do, to be honest with you, there's no reason we're not one of the top, 1, 2, or 3 teams in this conference and should be playing when come regional time. Unfortunately, now because of that 24-24 record that we just talked about, it's going to take having to win the Big Ten tournament to be playing in that postseason.
Yeah, but I think you do have a team, and one guy we haven't mentioned yet that I do want to give a quick hat tip to is Brockett on Sundays. He's locked down that Sunday starting role. I mean, it's a couple straight weekends now of being. It's pressure time. Series is 1-1. You need to go out and have a good start, and he's had a couple straight good starts now. He's I think settled into that Sunday role really, really well. Do you want to give a hat tip to him? Not necessarily a younger guy. You saw him kind of
throw the no-hitter last year.
He kind of was figuring out how to be a starter last year,
right? Even
into the beginning part of this year, and he's really settled in that Sunday role. But you got to give a quick hat tip. But I mean, at this point, Ty Horn, not a perfect Saturday guy, but you generally know what you're going to get. Brockett, you generally know what you're going to get.
Right.
It's better to at least know what you're going to get. Right now with Will Walsh, you don't really know what you're going to get, which is a bit of an issue, but you have more trusted arms, I think, in that bullpen. I mentioned a couple of them. Blahovich is one guy you trust. Luke Broderick's another guy you trust. You've trusted Drew Christo all season long.
Do you trust him in as that back end late inning setup guy? Is that where you like Drew at?
I like him as hey, we just got a good start from our pitcher, our starter. He just took us through 6. We want you to get us 7 and 8.
Okay.
We'll get it to Broderick in the 9th, and then we'll see you in a couple days. That's what I like from Christo is that 2 innings setup spot, even 3 innings if he has to go there. I like it in we got a good start. We have a 2-run lead here going into the 7th inning. We need you to get us to the 9th. I like that.
The story of Drew since he's been here is just I think it's been a little up and down. I mean, you're not going to find a bigger Drew Christo fan than myself, especially, when the decision came that he was going to forego his draft status, which was really high back then out of Elkhorn and come here, kid throwing 95 out of high school. I mean, you could see me drooling like Pavlov's dog. and again, like we just talked about, there was a guy who had to learn to execute the breaking pitches, and that just 95 alone wasn't going to be enough here. And real great competitor. I hope he continues to improve, and I want him to get another shot to play at the next level.
And you used a word there, competitor. That's what I like out of him. That's why I don't like him being hey, we got 5 innings from the starter. We won't need 1 inning from you. He's the type of guy you turn to and say, get us to the 9th. Because I think he's got, of anyone in that bullpen, the most fire within him.
Mm-hmm.
To go out there and say, hey, I'm going to put it all on my shoulders. I'm going to get us to
a lot like Jake Hohensee had back when he was the Friday night starter. That was fire coming out there.
Yeah.
And that was great. And, there's another Christo in the pipeline too. There's a younger one. I want to say it's probably one of the Elkhorn schools, but I remember my son played against his younger brother. So there's another one coming up and through.
That might do it for us in Husker baseball.
Okay, you
Maybe.
Touch on softball really quick.
I mean, hell of a weekend with the attendance out there. You're honoring so many former Husker softball players on Saturday, and you sell it out.
Yes,
There's another fantastic crowd on Sunday. I mean, that team's rolling.
They are. End up with the 3 seed this upcoming week for the Big Ten tournament, which is huge because that gets you the first round bye. And if you're going to ride your prize stallion on the mound, I wish I could tell you I knew enough about softball that I can tell you without a doubt that she can throw 3 days in a row. I'm not sure.
She did it for Oklahoma.
Yeah. You don't want to ever take, especially with high school baseball coming up. Moats and I were talking, you can't take teams for granted and maybe save your ace and then end up losing and then have to go through the losers bracket. But they will play the 8th, which will be Thursday then.
Mm-hmm.
Be Thursday. They play at 11 a.m. and they will take on the winner of Penn State, who's the 11th seed, Iowa, who is the 6th seed, and they play the day before. You basically just need to win 3 in a row to be, in the chair. It's double limb to be in the chair. So hats off to the Husker softball team, ranked 20th.
That's a team that, despite their 3 seed, I don't care. They're my favorite to win the Big Ten tournament simply because they have the best college softball player in America on their team.
Yes.
It's as simple as that.
It's too bad Oklahoma did. Well, I get
and
too bad for Oklahoma. They'd never tapped into her ability at the plate, huh?
Yeah. Well, you look at across college softball. I don't think she's the best pitcher. I think she's up there. I don't think she's the best pitcher in America. I don't think she's the best hitter in America. But no one is doing what she's doing on both sides. In the circle, anytime Jordy Ball is in the circle, I go, okay, Husker softball's probably going to win today.
Right.
And if you have that ability, if you get what you expect out of her in the Big Ten tournament, she can will that team to victory. And that's not a discredit to anyone else on that team. There's fantastic players on that team all over the place. Ava Kuzak hit the walk-off yesterday. She's great. Abby Squire, Southwest girl. Love what she brings to the team captain. She kind of brings that juice. But anytime Jordy Ball steps on to that field and takes the circle, I go, all right, you're going to get a good performance from her. Husker softball should be able to go out and win this one.
I don't get to watch a lot of national softball to either agree or disagree with you on the best pitcher.
Tennessee's got, I can't remember her name, but
I'm sure there's a good one. Now, I base this off of, my daughter had the, I guess, fortune or misfortune of having to face Jordy in high school. And Mallory will tell you, she's like, yeah, I hit a foul ball off her. I'm like, there you go, Mallory.
Great contact.
Yeah. And I think there's another Division I. I think she maybe went to Ron Collier or something, but Washington has another Omaha girl that was pitching for her too. So yeah, I think just even from the high school ranks, it's good watching these girls that are homegrown excelled, and I think that adds to the excitement too.
The name I was thinking of from Tennessee was Pickens.
Pickens
is a really good pitcher they got out there for Tennessee. She's a bit of a fireballer from a softballing perspective. She just throws a ridiculous fastball.
We had a Bruce Pickens that played corner for Nebraska back in the 80s. He was
doubt there's relations there.
Probably not, but I think he was the Atlanta Falcons first round draft pick that year. Yes. There's your little tidbit.
Thanks, dude.
All right.
Yeah, we've taken a long.
Well, we always do that.
Yeah, we do. We got a lot to talk about.
We always do.
Plenty from the weekend. So we'll step aside here, take a quick break. When we return, we'll talk some NBA playoffs.
Playoffs?
That was fun this weekend. A couple of game sevens. We talked about a game one. We briefly touched on all of those. We'll dive further into it after the break here on the Morning Hookup. Kobe chimes in and says the Nebraska girl that pitched at Washington transferred to Okie State, so she's at Oklahoma State.
Yeah, I see that. I wish I could remember her name. She's about 6 foot tall. Mallory did get a double off of her. And on that same team were those two twins that now play for Nebraska that transferred up from Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
They were all on the same high school team.
Mm-hmm.
Ruby, yes, it was Ruby, yes. Yeah, 6 foot tall. She threw hard. Mallory timed her up, got a double once.
That's kind of the old. Here's a good commercial break conversation. How many at bats would it take you against an MLB starter to get lucky, time it up once, and get a single?
A single?
Yeah, think you could do it?
I have no problem putting the bat on the ball at my age because I'll still get in the cage against Xavier. Now, mind you, Xavier isn't throwing Major League Baseball speed, but for a guy who just plays softball, that he'll get in there and he'll throw at me, and I'll show him like that you can't get the ball past me, and I'll tink tink tink. Now, if I got to get in and wind up, I would say within 10, I would get one out there. I'm still that confident. I mean, you got to remember, I did play baseball in college, so it's not like it's a foreign game to me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't practice in the cage as much as I used to, but I would say within 10.
See, I didn't play college baseball, but I'm behind the plate so much umpiring. I feel like that could help me a little bit.
It could.
I don't think I do it in 10 though. No.
Has to see if hitting a 98-mile-an-hour fastball was easy. Everyone would do it, right?
I think within 10, I think I can at least put bat on ball and ground out or pop out.
Ground out.
Pop out.
Put it in fair play. I did see one this weekend that was very odd, and I had to look it up. We had runners at second and third, one out, fly ball out to left. We tagged the guy at third, scored. The runner at second had left early. They went back, appealed it, and he had left early, and they called it out, which to me it seems like a force play, but they counted the run.
That should be a force play.
That's what I thought, and I looked up, I Googled it, and they said if the run crosses before the appeal, that the run counts.
Timing play. That's a timing play. It's timing.
When I don't understand. But if I went off a first base on a fly ball to the pitcher, the runner from third crosses home plate before they double me back at first. I mean it just I never thought that you could score on when the third out is a force.
Come back here.
To give you what you need.
It is the clean version, Theo. I see you looking over there.
I was like, what? Okay, I'm waiting.
It's clean. I checked this.
You kids in your hip-hop hogwash, right? Is that what it was called a few years ago?
See, this is rap crap is what I heard a lot.
Well, no, remember when they were trying to find new music for Memorial Stadium, they had, I would say, an older gentleman, maybe 70s or 80s, and he'd sent in his letter to the editor, I think to Lincoln Journal-Star, and said, we don't need any of that hip-hop hogwash. And that was the big quote for almost 2 years, the hip-hop hogwash.
See, this is
and now look at it, though.
This is at least your era of hip-hop.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Ish.
Yeah. It's what? Early 90s?
Yeah. I was going through college at that time.
Yeah. Anyway.
Hip-hop hogwash.
if you threw going on music, you go forever. So let's talk some sports here. Let's talk some NBA.
Yes.
We had a fun weekend of NBA games. Well, Saturday was fun for me. I'm not sure.
It was fun. It was fun for you.
I'm not sure if it's fun for the general public.
Well, you know what? I was done a long time ago when the expectations for my team were shot, and Mr. Always Hurt just shut it down for the season, and they didn't get what they wanted out of Paul George. And I hope Daryl gets fired as the GM. I'm a Sixers fan.
Sorry. What's tough about being a Sixers fan right now
is it like 1983 was a long time ago? Yes, I know that.
No, I was gonna say you did have a franchise player in Joel Embiid, but the injury bug bit him hard.
Yeah,
that's.
And what
issue.
do you do?
It's tough. You made all the right decisions. You brought in a guy in Joel Embiid that I think could have gotten the Sixers a championship, but he can't stay on the basketball court due to injury, and that's just when we have to put your hands up and say you didn't do anything wrong.
And so you sit Paul George and sit Maxey, and now you're staring at a small chance for a lottery draft pick. So how are they going to screw that up? Anyway, let's stop. Happy news. You and the Sixers or the Clippers.
You're in a better position now, I was going to say, than where the Clippers are right now. Because what do the Clippers do now? They've been waiting a couple seasons. Hey,
Kawhi, you ever going to get healthy?
And we talked about a guy that the injury bug is bit. His knees are not what they used to be. And you finally get the point now where at the end of the year, you got a healthy Kawhi.
And he looks like Kawhi when he's healthy.
You had James Harden playing at an all-star level.
Yep.
you got what you needed from Zubats, not only down the stretch of the season, but in this series against Jokic. He gave it a hell of a go, and Jokic's numbers were down from what you expect from him because hat tip to Zubats, he played really well. What do? You still get waxed in Game 7. Everything went right for you if you're the Clippers. It's what you've been waiting for a couple of seasons now. And what's the result? It's a first-round exit against the Nuggets.
This was a 4-5 matchup, was it not?
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
So Nuggets go on to face the Thunder, who are the 1 seed, who are a wagon. If you count,
have fun with that.
If you count the playoff series, they're 72-14 on the year. If you count their sweep in the first round.
Does anybody in the West match up with them?
The Nuggets have a better matchup than people may think.
Okay.
I still think the Thunder, you give them a pretty big advantage in this series. I say that as a biased Nuggets fan. The Nuggets do match up pretty well.
Obviously, the Thunder will have the home court, the extra home game if it does go to 7.
And that's a tough place to go and play.
So
it's too. I mean, the Nuggets have the altitude advantage, and you wonder with the Clippers if that bothered them in Game 7. The Nuggets were all over the place, and the Clippers looked lethargic. They had to play some guys some big minutes in Game 6. I think Harden played 47 minutes in Game 6, and he looked especially lethargic at altitude.
You think at this level with the conditioning and the amount of times that they play against Denver or Utah in any given season that we're done with the altitude thing? So who knows? I mean, I get it in a 7-game series where you're there and have to play multiple games during a week up there that can play a factor. But man, when you're making 20, 30, 40, $50 million a year, well, you'd think science would help maybe alleviate you being able to use that crutch as much as we used to hear it, 20 years ago.
Oh, in NFL, what do you have? You have all the oxygen masks. You don't see that in the NBA. Like, I'll be honest, I'm not a professional athlete. I feel it whenever I'm going up the stairs in Colorado. Like, all right, it's not like going up the stairs in Lincoln.
Warren Sapp felt it in the fourth quarter of that Orange Bowl.
Was that altitude?
No. That was a pipeline leaning on him is what that was.
No, but
so you guys get the win Saturday, 120-101.
Yeah, but I think the bigger story here. Now, I'm a Nuggets guy, but what do the Clippers do now? Do you have to blow it up? It's been a couple years now. All right, we're waiting for Kawhi to get healthy.
He's not getting any healthier, and Harden's not getting any younger. What do? You're gonna write. It wasn't enough.
And when
Harden
enough. Still's never won a Game 7 in his career.
Right.
When the lights are the brightest, he folds. What do you do if
he did it when he was in Philly? Did it when he was in Houston? Did it when he was in Oklahoma City?
I think you're staring down a full rebuild if you're the Clippers.
You'd have to because these guys are going to be a year older, and you can't run it back again because it wasn't enough to get you out of the first round
against a Nuggets team that 3 weeks ago fired their head coach and GM.
That isn't the Nuggets team from 2 years ago.
No. I say that as a biased Nuggets fan.
Right.
I think this Nuggets team is dangerous, but dear Lord, you can't lose them in the first round if you've been waiting on this.
Right. Because this wasn't enough.
Yeah.
So
James Harden's 7 points in Game 7?
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's not gonna do it.
So the Nuggets end up winning Game 7 against Clippers 120-101.
The other Game 7 from the weekend, Theo.
Nice. It was yesterday. If you stayed up and watched that, my wife turned that on. I said, Amy, that's kind of not like you to watch basketball. Now she played it off. Well, there's nothing else on, but she was watching, and I'm like, I think my wife was genuinely more interested when the game started between the Game 7 between the Houston Rockets and Golden State Warriors. Now, I will say, because to the average casual basketball fan who has some knowledge of the NBA, my wife knows who Steph Curry is, and I think that's still a draw.
Oh, absolutely.
And
love him or hate him, Draymond's still a draw.
And we were only waiting until he got his first flagrant technical, which he did. Steph Curry, I think, missed his first 5 3-point shots, but
Buddy healed.
How about that?
Poured in 33 points in a Game 7.
It was crazy.
And it was another game that was unfortunately down the stretch not very close. I think the Warriors had a 12-point lead at half. The Rockets,
Houston cut it down to 3 at one point.
They made a run in that third quarter, and then
they just traded baskets for a while. And I want to say it was about the 3-minute mark, three and some change that Houston got it down to 8. And I think Steve Kerr called a timeout. And then it was all Warriors after that, and just, I mean, there was some. You see the defense intensity as we talk about really ratchet up during the playoff basketball. A lot of defense that doesn't necessarily get played, and there were just, I mean, it would go 2 or 3 minutes without either team scoring. If you remember the second half, the first two possessions by both of these teams ended in blocked shots. I mean, you had 4 blocked shots, 2 on each end to start the second half. That's how you know teams are actually, given a hoot defensively. And I think just that experience, I think, played a part.
That's what I was gonna say. The Warriors knew how to go out there and handle a game 7. You have plenty of guys in that team that have played. Jimmy Butler's played plenty of game 7s.
Right.
Draymond Green, plenty of game 7s. Steph Curry, plenty of game 7s. You have that experience. You look at the Rockets,
And Jimmy Butler doesn't have to be the alpha dog.
he did play 45 minutes.
I mean, that guy, what do they call him? Curry called him the connector, because he can go out there and he can play whatever role you need him to play. And their experience, they got it done. And now they will travel to Minnesota. No, they will actually be the home team.
They will be.
Because they were the 6th seed and Minnesota was the 7th.
Other way around.
Other way around.
Minnesota
Okay,
was
yes.
6, yeah.
Minnesota was the 6th, excuse me. Golden State was the 7th. So Minnesota will have home. It was weird because I was looking at those standings and it seemed like 3 through 6 or 7 were all separated by 1 game there in that last week. It was really close.
Yeah, the Nuggets were in danger of going down to the play-in. And that's kind of why they fired their head coach. Because they're like, well, things are trending poorly here, and we're going to play in the play-in if we don't do something. So, but you look at the Rockets, they'll be back. Amen Thompson is a fantastic talent. I'll say the same about Jalen Green. The only guy on that roster, though, that has true Game 7 experience. Well, I guess
Van Fleet, maybe.
I was going to say Steven Adams has some, but
right. You hardly saw him out there on the floor at all.
He was a big factor in games 5 and 6. In game 7, I think the Warriors figured out what was ailing them. He had a ridiculous plus-minus number in the previous 2 games. I don't remember off the top of my head. He was -9 yesterday. Fred Van Fleet's got some game 7 experience, and he was out there playing well. 44 minutes from Van Fleet. Put in 17 points, but you just didn't have enough guys that I think knew how to handle the emotions and the pressure. And let's be honest, the added physicality that comes with a game 7.
Right. I mean, the young talent is there. It really is. I mean, you saw it all through the regular season. That's why they won, 56 games or whatever they won. But when it comes playoff time, there isn't that bona fide A-lister yet on that Houston team where when the game is close, when it's in the balance, the guy who's been there, who you can count on without a doubt to carry that team. And for me, you looked at the Rockets kind of all looking around at each other like, who's going to be that guy? And none of them were able to step up and be that guy, where that's not an issue with these other playoff teams, whether you have a Steph Curry or, I know they didn't make it, but or a LeBron James, someone like that, a Durant, someone who that's just going to take charge in those final few minutes. It'll be interesting. I don't know that Houston needs to really do a lot of tinkering with that lineup, but they also have a lot of draft capital, a lot of young talent. It'll be interesting to see what they do as far as keeping that core together, or do they go out and get themselves a bona fide superstar to add to this roster to try and take that next step to get out of that first round of playoffs for next year.
They go get James Harden back.
Yeah, aren't teams just getting in line for that?
Yeah, I think so. That does, with that game though, set up all the second round matchups in the NBA. You got the Thunder. They're the home court advantage. They've got the home court advantage against the Nuggets.
I'm going to say 4-2
for the Thunder.
Yeah,
I'll take that. The Timberwolves home court advantage against the Warriors. Celtics home court advantage against the Knicks. And then in the game 1 we had last night, the Cavs lost their home court advantage against the Pacers.
That's tough. Now we can make the call after we know that Indiana's up 1-0.
I wasn't expecting that.
Well, no, I don't think anybody was.
But
can it be duplicated?
I'm not. I said this back in segment 1. I'm not necessarily surprised. Does that make sense?
No. I mean, they have it in them, but can they go do it 3 more times?
This was a series I was expecting to go deep. I wasn't expecting the Pacers to take game 1, especially in a game where the Cavaliers did not play poorly. But I thought if the Cavaliers played well, they'd get theirs. I thought it'd be a series that probably went 6 or 7. Pacers taking game 1 in Cleveland was a surprise.
Now all you have to do is just hold home court serve, and you're on to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah, against
a series I would not be surprised go 7. I really wouldn't.
Okay. I think the Celtics roll through this personally.
Or do you?
I think they're built just different in that East. Based on what I saw in the first round, I know they struggled for a couple of games with the physicality of the Magic. They settled into that. You got another very physical series coming up, but I think the Magic was the right test for the Celtics because the Magic wanted to go out there and beat up the Celtics. The Knicks are going to try to do that too. It's Tom Thibodeau. They're going to go out there, be defensive, be physical. I think the Celtics got the right preparation in the Magic and got themselves mentally ready for a series like this. We'll see. I mean, that's how the Knicks go out and take care of the Celtics is you got to go muck this game up. You got to go be physical. You got to go beat them up a little bit.
I think the Timberwolves take care of the Warriors in 5.
Anthony Edwards is different.
It is. And now if you can get Randall to play like he's been playing at the back end of this season, Green isn't going to be able to do anything. And Frenchie playing great defense too. I mean, he's still there. I would not be surprised to see Minnesota win this thing in 5.
I don't want to throw this around too lightly, but I think at this point, I mean, the killer instinct that Anthony Edwards has combined with his competitiveness, it's got shades of Jordan and Kobe a little bit.
I won't disagree.
I'm not saying he's not Jordan and Kobe, but the competitiveness and that killer instinct that he has in the big time moments kind of has that feel.
I think it'll be interesting, and maybe we'll have a better answer to this question maybe here in 2 weeks when the season's starting to wind down on the winner or loser of that Timberwolves Knicks trade. Well, now, if you ask my son, he doesn't like it at all.
You thought for a lot of the season the T-Wolves were the loser. Julius Randle's kind of getting things figured out late in the year.
Now, Xavier's got his signed Karl Anthony Towns T-Wolves jersey on his wall. Sorry, so he wasn't happy about it.
Sorry, bud. But for most of the year though, he was like, "Wow,
all right,
T-Wolves lost this trade bad. They're missing Karl Anthony Towns." Season goes on, you go, "Okay, Rudy Gobert. He had a really nice first round series against the Lakers. It helps Lakers don't have a center, but
right,
he played nice.
But does Golden State have a center though either?
Not really. They have Draymond, and then
you have Draymond who Randall is going to handle.
You got Kevon Looney coming off the bench, who's nothing special.
Right. That's and then you've got Ant-Man. And that's why I honestly think that Minnesota makes this look a lot easier than Houston was able to. Mm-hmm. So that's my take.
You got 4 good second-round series in the NBA.
I like it.
4 intriguing.
It is interesting that is a 6-7 matchup. I mean, we talked about how the seeding was very close in the West, grouping in that. But both the 2 seed and the 3 seed with the Lakers are first-round Exeters.
It's chalky everywhere except that T-Wolves Warriors.
Yes.
Higher seed 1 everywhere except T-Wolves Warriors. Now they get to face each other in the second round. So
yep.
You're going to get a 6.
You got 1 through 4 in the East, and then the surprises in the West.
Yeah. Well, that's the NBA update. We only got a couple minutes left this hour. We do need to step aside. I don't know what we'll talk about when we return. We'll figure it out. We only got about 3 minutes on their side, but we'll step aside here. Be back in a couple minutes. More hour 1 of the morning hookup coming up in hour 2. We'll talk some more Husker baseball with Evan Bland, so stick around for that. Back in a couple minutes. More hour 1.
11 combined home runs in that Royals-Orioles game yesterday. Did you see that?
I did not see that. Well, I guess we talk some baseball here.
Kansas City Royals hit a franchise record 7 home runs in the game. They're a local team. Are you a Royals fan?
Nah.
Okay.
If anything, I'm a Rockies fan, but I'm not a fan. I used to be a fan. I'm a fan whenever they're good. Whenever they're bad, I don't care to watch bad baseball.
Is that called fair weather?
And I'll own that. The Rockies don't deserve me to be the Rockies don't deserve any diehards. Okay? With the way that franchise is run, the Rockies deserve 0 diehard fans. Worst run franchise in all of pro baseball. And that's something to say whenever the White Sox are there, but at least the White Sox try to win.
Yeah, 11 home runs. You better bring out an extra case of balls that day. 11 people leaving with 11 fans leaving with souvenirs.
Let's find a song here. Gotta find something from Will's folder. He's gotta have something in there, right?
You would think so.
You have a slightly different music taste, though. There's a lot of stuff in here I got no idea. Oh, actually, do I have time? They say this is the clean version. I don't have time to actually check it, so hopefully.
If it says it, it's got to be true, right?
Yeah, it's the clean radio edit.
Do you know how many games the Rockies have won this year?
They're still at, like, what, 7?
6.
Yeah, it's bad.
6.
It's bad. They're not winning 50 this year.
They'll get a high draft choice, right?
Then they'll blow it. Problem is, if they draft a pitcher, once they make it up to the majors, they're going to go somewhere else because no one wants to pitch at altitude.
Yeah, because you give up 11 bombs in a game.
And if you go draft all hitters, it doesn't matter if you're giving up 10 runs a game. And the Rockies aren't going to go pay anyone in free agency. You got to go overpay for a pitcher if you want someone. They won't do that.
I go on and on, can't understand how I last so long. I must have superpowers, rap 225,000 hours. Get it calculated, do the math.
One final time here in the morning hookup.
I'm going to have to go back in there and look through those archives then for next hour.
Elijah Herbal, Steve Malone taking you through hour one here again. Evan Bland's joining us in about 20 minutes here. We'll talk some Husker baseball, another series victory for the Huskers over Minnesota. We hit that a little bit earlier in hour one, but let's talk some baseball. Let's talk some Kansas City Royals.
Yeah.
If you like the long ball, chicks dig the long ball.
Decent road trip for them. Believe they're 5-1 on the road trip so far. But yesterday, for a team that was hitting a league low 18 home runs through 34 games, had an absolute just a power surge yesterday. 7 home runs against the Baltimore Orioles. And combined, those two teams hit 11 altogether, which was tops in the majors for two teams combined since I think it was the Giants. Someone did it back in 2023. That takes the Royals up to 19-16.
The Royals, after a rough start, just 3 games back from the Tigers in that AL Central,
which is tough. Tigers, look at that, 22-13.
They're 13-3 at home.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like if the Royals were in the East right now, they technically would only be a half a game behind the Yankees for first in the East. And it's funny because we always look at the Central as kind of the forgotten stepchild of Major League Baseball, but you got them and the Guardians 20-14 right now.
Right now, though,
it's early.
The NL West is the one you're going to.
Oh yes, well you got 3 teams that I think have 22 or more wins.
Yeah.
Between the Padres, Giants, and obviously the Dodgers.
Yeah, and then, don't forget, you also have the Diamondbacks at 18-16, which would be in the mix in any other division in baseball.
And then they also have who?
The Rockies.
That team that's 6-28.
Hey,
expansion team, right? Well, wasn't that 94? They were an expansion team. We can't use that excuse anymore.
Well, that was back before they had the humidor, so they could actually use the long ball to their advantage. Now they got the humidor at Coors Field.
Every time you say it, I just think of cigars.
Well, didn't they use like a modified cigar humidor?
Yeah,
I think.
They did.
Yeah. So that ruined the Rockies. Definitely not ownership and personnel decisions that have ruined the Rockies.
Where is Todd Helton when you need him?
I just hope probably down Tennessee.
Troy Tulowitzki.
So I mean, look at all the good Arenado. There's been great players to come.
There has
Arenado, Trevor Story, Charlie Blackmon, DJ LeMahieu. You've had great position players, but no one wants to pitch at altitude. I just hope that the Rockies set a record for worst record in baseball history. They won't, but they're going to be really, really bad. At the end
Sounds
of the year.
like you're wanting some job openings.
I want some job openings and maybe want an ownership change too. We'll see.
All right.
The Rockies are terrible. There's a quick baseball update in the MLB. A lot of season left there. It's coming down to it for Husker baseball. We'll get back to that with Evan Bland. We'll also talk some Husker football after the break.
Okay.
Got a little bit of news late last week. Talk some Marty Brown, a new kicker into the fold. We'll hit all that. Hour 2 of the Morning Hookups coming your way on KFOR.
Floor shopping easier, come to Oak Street Carpet. Hi, I'm Steve Carper. Our flooring professionals can help you choose the best flooring for you, your family, and your budget. We eliminate the confusion. Even better, you'll be enjoying your new flooring much sooner. No 6 or 8 week waits. We'll install right away and save you money on installation. Floor shopping made easy every day at Oak Street Carpet. Oak Street Carpet. 1732 Oak Street. Family owned and operated. Always the best value.
Something amazing is happening in networking. Organizations are scaling with less stress. That's because CDW is designing and implementing intelligent HPE Aruba networking solutions that simplify and secure operations. With automation at the center of your data center, growing pains can be a thing of the past. HPE Aruba Networking and CDW. Make amazing happen. Learn more at cdw.com/Aruba.
Live horse racing is back in Lincoln, Nebraska. Experience all the excitement of thoroughbred racing only at Legacy Downs at Warhorse Casino, Lincoln. Legacy Downs will host live races over 5 weekends starting Friday, May 9th through Sunday, June 8th. Host times Fridays at 3 p.m., Saturdays and Sundays at 1:30 p.m. Join them every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday starting May 9th for live thoroughbred horse racing, live wagering, giveaways, food trucks, and more. This free event is open to all ages. Details at LegacyDowns.com.
Business owners everywhere are raving about ZipRecruiter's new feature, Zip Intro, which does the work of finding and scheduling qualified candidates to meet with you as soon as the next day. So we decided to call up some of these employers and hear their stories. Today, we're on the phone with Pilates studio owner Crystal M. Harris. Crystal, how has Zip Intro helped you hire?
Well, I was opening a Pilates studio in McDonough, Georgia, and I needed to staff up quickly. Zip Intro did the work for me. It helped me find enthusiastic candidates who matched my qualifications perfectly.
That's great.
Yeah, I had my Zip Intro session on Tuesday, did all the interviews by Thursday, sent out the offers on Friday, and they started on Monday. Because Zip Intro did most of the work, I saved so much time.
Absolutely. And to our listeners, you can try Zip Intro for free right now at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Zip Intro. Post jobs today. Talk to qualified candidates tomorrow.
Come in and try the Good Feet feeling today. Comfort, energy, performance, and pain relief at the Good Feet store. Visit the store for a free test walk at 27th and Pine Lake Road across from South Point Mall near PetSmart or at goodfeet.com.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Springtime in Nebraska can bring its own set of challenges. This is Chris Goforth. Join me and the experts from Earl May Saturday morning at 8:30 to have your questions answered that will make your spring lawn and garden a success. In the Garden with Earl May this Saturday morning at 8:30 on KFOR.
Lincoln's local news, talk, sports, and weather station. FM 101.5, 1240 AM, KFOR, and KFRX HD3, Lincoln.
From ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. Just in from the White House, the Trump administration now offering immigrants who are in the country illegally $1,000 per person to go back to their home country, the money to come from the Homeland Security Department. At Newark's Liberty Airport, thousands of travelers are trying to get home or away, but many have been stuck for days or hours. ABC's Matt Rivers is there.
United CEO Scott Kirby saying more than 20% of Newark's air traffic controllers, quote, walked off the job last week, forcing the airline to remove those flights indefinitely. Those air traffic controllers taking medical leave after an equipment outage last week, calling it, quote, a traumatic experience. The staffing issues, of course, made worse by ongoing construction that at times leaves only one runway open at a time.
New York Senator Chuck Schumer is calling for an inspector general's report on all the problems at Newark. Jury selection underway in Sean Diddy Combs' New York racketeering trial. Israel's security cabinet members approving a plan to capture the entire Gaza Strip and keep it under Israeli control indefinitely.
Over the weekend, Israel calling up thousands of reservists for the renewed offensive in Gaza. This after the strike near Tel Aviv's main airport. A missile fired from Yemen penetrating Israel's highly sophisticated Iron Dome air defense system, injuring 8 people.
ABC's Marcus Moore. As the conclave begins in Rome, we're learning one thing that was in the previous Pope's will.
One of Pope Francis' last gestures was to have his Pope-mobile modified into a mobile health clinic for the people of Gaza. We know how much it touched him, the conflict there. He spoke nearly every day to the Holy Family parish inside Gaza. And so this is his final act to show the world how much he cared about the conflict.
ABC's James Longman at the Vatican. In addition to the newly built chimney, 2 stoves have been installed in the Sistine Chapel, one for burning ballots and one for making sure the smoke that comes out is white when a pope's elected. This is ABC News.
It's me, your liver. You know, the organ that helps you recover every weekend at the pizza, donuts, and all those drinks. When you have a headache, you take an aspirin. You have a stomach ache, you pop an acid. But where's the love for your best buddy, the liver? The least that you could do to help me stay healthy is take Active Liver from New Nordic. Active Liver tablets contain high-quality, all-natural ingredients like milk thistle, globe artichoke, and turmeric extracts, which are proven to keep me healthy and you feeling your best. Active Liver provides an easy daily detox and helps protect me all year long. So let me make you an offer you can't refuse. You take care of me with Active Liver, and I keep taking care of you. Capiche?
See for yourself why Active Liver is Scandinavia's #1 liver health supplement. You can find Active Liver at CVS and online at Amazon or directly from NewNordicUSA.com. Again, find it in stores at CVS or online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com.
A couple of weekend assaults. Good morning. I'm Jeff Moats. We're at 64 degrees at KFOR. An assault late Saturday night in the area of 14th and Judson. Police Lieutenant Brian Agnew tells KFOR News that a 21-year-old man was walking in the area when he was hit from behind by an unknown male.
The victim attempted to defend himself with a pocket knife. However, that was taken from him.
The suspect used the knife to assault the victim, who suffered non-life-threatening injuries. The suspect has not yet been identified. An assault early Sunday morning in the 300 block of 8th Street is still under investigation.
The victim, a 36-year-old Lincoln man, had gunshot wounds to his shoulder and neck.
That's Lincoln Police Lieutenant Brian Agnew again, who tells KFOR News the victim was taken to a hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. What led up to that shooting is still under investigation. There is no ongoing threat to the public. If you have information on both of these cases, call Lincoln Police at 402-441-6000. You can stay anonymous by calling Crime Stoppers at 402-475-3600 or go to LincolnCrimeStoppers.com. 2 traffic enforcement details are happening this month. Lincoln Police will have officers in their Northwest Team area, which has 3 of the top 5 highest crash locations in the city.
14th and Superior, 27th and Cornhusker, and then I-180 roughly between Cornhusker and our streets.
LPD Public Information Manager Erica Thomas says the other enforcement project has their Northeast team doing high visibility enforcement along O Street, focusing on excessive speeding, noise violations, and other reckless driving behaviors.
The goal, of course, is always to reduce dangerous driving, promote safe road use, and respond to longstanding community concerns.
Funding for both details has been made possible through a grant from the Nebraska Department of Transportation's Highway Safety Office. Lincoln's first forecast today, sunshine and a high of 77. Tonight, mostly clear, low of 47. Sunny tomorrow, high of 77. And for Wednesday, mostly cloudy. There is a 40% chance of showers and a high of 72. Right now, 64 degrees in Lincoln. I'm Jeff Moats, KFOR News.
It's not often a man wakes up and says, I feel the best I have in years. We hear this all the time at Limitless Mail, and it can happen to you when you go to Limitless Mail and get a blood test to see what your body is missing. That's how simple it is. Schedule a free consult with Limitless Mail. Discuss your symptoms. Do the blood test. If your lab results say you're low in testosterone, we can fix that. Age is just a number. You can feel your best again. Just ask Limitless Mail.
This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. With small ships that bring travelers closer to the destination, there's more time to explore.
This is the Morning Hookup on KFOR.
I wanna be with you everywhere.
Yes, this song was a Few Malone request. It's the Morning Hookup, rolling through a Monday. Elijah Herbal joined in studio by Few Malone. Bill Hooks will be back in tomorrow.
I liked this song before Will Ferrell ruined it.
That commercial sucks.
Now he's ruining Go Your Own Way, too.
Yep, I saw that one over the weekend as well.
Maybe it's just
I love
me.
Will Ferrell.
See, to me, I'm Will Ferrell'd out.
I love Will Ferrell. That commercial is brutal.
But see, the kid on the airplane hits a home run. You know what else has no interest? Me. I tells him to be quiet.
Well, see, I feel like I grew up in the era where, Will Ferrell's biggest movies were all huge whenever I was growing up. Talladega Nights, Step Brothers.
Right.
They
were big, but it was also one of those times where it seemed like one out of every 3 movies that came out, he was in. And I'm okay. And don't get me wrong. The Catalina wine mixer will forever live in infamy.
Mm-hmm. He's got some, okay. I had to pull up the Blades of Glory. Loved that stupid movie.
It gets the people going.
Anchorman 1 and 2.
Okay.
Classics. Talladega Nights.
Yeah.
Step Brothers.
And Semi-Pro?
Semi-Pro's a classic. I do like that movie.
I went to the bank and they wouldn't take this large check. Well, maybe you should switch banks.
What else do we have on here? The campaign sucks.
Oh, what did he do, like a journey to the center of the earth type, or Lost?
Yeah.
Where he's making fun of the T-Rex because it's not smart enough, and then the T-Rex jumps
Land
over
of the Lost.
Okay, Land of the Lost.
Yeah, that one also was not very good.
See, it started. Just a quick money grab. But
what else is on here? I think I've made it through. Oh, Kicking and Screaming I liked. That was one that people did not like, where he's the youth soccer coach.
I don't even think I watched that.
I liked that one, actually.
But Elijah, I had an interesting Saturday.
How so?
Well, my son Xavier has always told me that I am not allowed to retire from old man softball until we were able to play together. And I'm not by any means doing my retirement announcement today.
Whenever you do make your announcement, though, it's got to be on the air.
Oh, got to be on the air.
Yeah, call your teammates up and say, "Hey, listen."
It'll be an announcement.
An emotional retirement announcement.
Not leaving my cleats there at home plate. It'll be on air.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we had just kind of a throw together fun tournament. There were some guys from my senior league, and you're welcome to bring kids of age that at least knew what they were doing out on the field. And I brought Mallory and Xavier, and we all got to play in the same tournament. It was kind of fun. In fact, I got to play in the outfield next to Xavier. He was in left. I was in left center. We talked a little smack back to each other when we'd miss a ball and stuff, even though we're on the same team. And I tried not to screw up his swing too much by swinging at a softball. He got a little frustrated. He's like, "This dad, that getting in there way slow." I'm like, "Yeah, every pitcher's a changeup." Mallory threw a couple of guys out trying to take extra bases. That was fun. Then Xavier and I went down to PBA Saturday evening, and that was very, very fun. We got to watch a couple of our Husker wrestlers. I think they both now finished up their eligibility. 3-time All-American from a few years ago, Tyler Berger, making his professional MMA debut. Even had Coach Manning in his corner. It was great, absolutely great. And his went to decision. It was a real good match. I think he's got a future if he wants to continue doing that.
And Bubba Wilson.
Bubba Wilson.
Amateur debut.
Amateur debut. He won by TKO. It was either first or second round. The guy he was fighting against just looked bigger. And you expect these wrestlers to kind of win it on the ground. I think Bubba knocked him out. It was great. Yeah. So he won. Got to watch my guy, Nate Morrow. He's in our Husker Army. Defend his belt. He's from Hastings. Real nice guy. Watched him defend his title belt in the main event by winning in 28 seconds. That was great. Had my friend Scott Anson out there in his corner. So that was great to get to see a couple of former Huskers out there in a kind of a different realm. And you even had a couple of the Go Big Red chants in the crowd too. And when they got Berger, they were interviewing him after the fight, and he said, "You people out here, this is why I decided when I wanted to do MMA to come back here and do it." And it was great. And it had the Husker fans getting all rowdy and stuff. So.
Do you think he's a guy maybe gets the UFC call up at some point in time?
We'll see.
UFC loves them some former D1 wrestlers.
They do.
Because that's a big trend right now in UFC. You have all the Dagestani wrestlers that have started to dominate, and college wrestlers tend to hold their own. There's gotta look up the guy's name. He just lost over the weekend, but 4-time national champion at Penn State. He was kind of the golden boy,
right,
for UFC. Bo Nickel. And he took his first career MMA loss over the weekend as he got knocked out, took a knee to the upper chest and jaw, and that was it. But
I would say one of the most interesting matches. They have it's a bare knuckle boxing match.
I love bare knuckle boxing.
Oh my gosh, I mean, that's like bar room brawling.
Well, I like it because it's a different style.
It is.
You don't have the gloves on.
No gloves, and you can't go to the ground.
So you get it's a lot more body work.
Right.
A lot more guys ripping the body, and
these two guys were going for haymakers.
They were.
Yeah, it was great.
That's a
It was
fun
great.
one.
It was It's when they say take the gloves off, that is what it was. And Dower Robinson, Lincoln guy, ended up winning that. That was very, very entertaining. So they do this probably a couple times throughout the year down there at PBA. Always put together a great venue. So if you get the chance to ever get down there to PBA for one of their MMA events, highly, highly recommend it. It is a good time.
Some news that we got this morning, Theo, I want to get your thoughts on. Sharon Moore, he is going to be suspended, head coach of Michigan, for that game against Nebraska. News breaking this morning. This is in relation to the advanced
play calling,
call it.
And Harbaugh goes to San Diego.
LA now.
LA, excuse me. Sorry, you're right. I just Chargers. I have the pencils from when I was in third grade of all the NFL teams. It'll always be San Diego. Anyway,
these are self-imposed sanctions, though, from the University of Michigan. He will be suspended for week 3 against Central Michigan and week 4 against Nebraska. Those are the 2 games they picked. So it's the last game of the non-conference slate, the first game of the conference slate.
Who are their first 2 games against?
That's what I'm looking up right now. They have New Mexico and Oklahoma.
Oh, yeah. Can't suspend him from Oklahoma, can you?
And I don't think you want to suspend him for game 1 because you're likely going to be starting a true freshman quarterback.
You think Underwood starts?
Yeah, I do. You don't pay him all that money. It's like Raiola. You don't pay him all that money to come in and not start.
Okay.
So I think you don't want to lose your head coach for game 1 with a freshman quarterback.
So let's just pick 2 other random ones in the season.
You don't want.
Don't you have like Northwestern and maybe like Minnesota or something back to back? You could have done it.
But if you're the university, you want to get out of the way early.
Okay.
Because you can, if you lose to Nebraska because your head coach isn't out there.
Oh, you can use that as an excuse come playoff time, right?
Yeah.
I hope we just smash them.
Use that as an excuse. Plus, the fact is, like, if a team starts hitting the stretch run and they have some big pressure games late in the season, like, hey, Purdue and Northwestern, they do play them back to back. Those could be pressure games. That's November 1st, November 15th. Those could be pressure games for a potential playoff run if you're making those. Do you want to lose your head coach for those? Where you can, hey, an early season loss, we've seen it in non-conference play. You can come back from that.
Yeah, look at Notre Dame last year.
Yeah. You can come back from that. So I don't think you want to lose your head coach late in the season. If you lose one early, that's okay. So Sharon Moore not going to be in the sidelines at Memorial Stadium, though.
And that's a big game for us.
Yeah.
I think we're putting a little more preference on that than maybe they are. Because I think we get, like, is it 4 or 5 home games to start the season?
Aside from that, KC, yeah.
I'm calling that a home game.
Yeah.
Call it what you want. I think it was supposed to be at Cincinnati, so we moved it to a neutral site.
Lucas Oil Stadium.
Right.
They're supposed to be at Cincinnati's neutral site, and
so you're going to come play in Arrowhead?
Yeah.
Tell me that's not going to be about.
I don't think they had fan interest out there in Indianapolis for that one.
Well, you sure did down in Kansas City, which seats about 72,000 down there at Arrowhead.
That's going to be pretty much a home game.
It is.
And then you're going to have Akron home, Houston Christian home, which is going to be the day after the Bud Crawford fight. We haven't talked about that. officially announced over the weekend, Bud Crawford, Canelo Alvarez, September 12th.
And then they
Friday night.
introduced that, and they were both in the ring.
Yeah. That's
Just
gonna
kind
be
of staring at each other.
fantastic
I'm
fight.
nervous about that fight.
We'll get back into that a little bit
Okay.
later. But then you got home game Michigan, home game Michigan State.
Yes.
So
Five.
five essentially. One's a neutral
If you're going
site.
to count the Cincinnati game, which I am, sorry.
But then you go back to back on the road, Maryland, Minnesota. But yeah, it's a huge game for Nebraska. Kind of set the tone for the season. You got a real chance to be 3-0 through your first three.
Especially with these, I'm seeing these preseason expectations now of, these post transfer portal preseason rankings, and I'm seeing Nebraska pop up at 20 and 21. I want to ask you this before we get Evan on here: is that realistic? A team that's coming off of a 7-6 season, you've lost your entire defensive line, and lost a lot of chunks in that front seven. Now, aside from who you're bringing in to replace them, because don't get me wrong, Dana and Eckler are good. You're replacing 3 coordinators. Trust, I'm not a pessimist. I'm an optimist, or I'm a realist. You haven't shown me anything in 20 some years. I mean, we play this little boy cried wolf game every year. And I mean, I don't want the Husker fans getting mad that they're not preseason ranked, but how do you get these East Coast and West Coast riders that are basically going off just what they see with a 7-6 team from last year that's going to put you preseason 25 because you return a 5-star quarterback?
Well, it's more than that. The portal additions you brought on the offensive line makes me think you've upgraded on the offensive line.
Okay.
Evidenced by the fact that Gachula was a starter last year, and right now he's going to have to compete to go win a starting job. So you've improved along the offensive line.
Okay.
You've improved at the skill positions offensively with your wide receivers. Dane Key he's a draft pick.
And we thought that last year with Banks and Nair too.
But
I know it's different. I know we do this every year.
To be second-round picks.
Okay,
that's what we're talking about with Dane Key.
But
he did it with no quarterback last year at Kentucky.
Well, I mean, Banks was a 1,000-yard receiver at Wake Forest. Nair that was a Texas guy. I mean, I'm doing this to play devil's advocate here. And you also lost Ty Nash, and
there's the big concern.
Dude that went to LSU.
The bigger concern to me is on the defensive side of the ball. But the goal is with what you saw at the end of the last year with the Holgerson and Raiola combo, which Raiola looked more confident as the year went on. Once Holgerson took charge, he seemed to be more in control of that offense. Wisconsin game, evidence of that. Even the USC game a little bit, even though that was short notice after Holgerson took over, and then especially the Boston College game. Saw that little bit of swagger.
Okay. I love it. I want to be the person that, hey, go earn it. Don't just be given that preseason ranking.
To be fair, preseason rankings don't mean anything, and I don't think Nebraska deserves to be preseason ranked because how many times have you heard this same song and dance for the last 10 years? Oh, Nebraska's.
Oh, they're bringing in this guy and this guy and this guy, and then
if you put a team in your preseason rankings as number 24, what a waste of time. That's just you saying, hey. We don't know.
They could be
good,
12th by the end of the year. They could maybe not even be others receiving votes. We're not sure.
Husker fans will get the clicks, and then at the end of the year, you can say, no matter what happens, Nebraska has a great year. You can say, I thought so. Look, I put him in the top 25.
And
they had bad years, and I was confident enough to put him in the top 25. I was right. They were pretty good.
Look how much money I made because I got 175,000 Husker fans to look at this article.
And if Nebraska sucks, you can look at it and go, well, I only put him at 24th, 25th. I thought the pieces could have been there, but it
didn't work out. The chemistry wasn't there.
Yeah. So putting a team between 20 and 25 in your preseason rankings that's worthless to me.
All right.
I can see the argument for why. I'm not necessarily against it. I'm with you though. Go out and earn it. To the writers that are putting Nebraska between 20 and 25, either be bold or don't put them in there at all.
Put them at 8.
Either put them top 20 or don't put them in there at all. Preseason rankings are
fair enough.
They're hogwash anyway. But
all right, let's get Evan.
Yeah, that'll do it for our first segment. We'll get Evan. We'll talk some Husker baseball. We'll also talk Terrence Crawford, Canelo Alvarez before the end of the show. So plenty more to get to. It's hour 2 rolling through the morning hookup on a Monday. Elijah Herbal, Hugh Malone, back in a second with Evan Bland.
What was right underneath everywhere on there?
Let me check. Right below everywhere was Naive by the Kooks. Above it was Karma Chameleon by Culture Club. You want that?
That's an excellent song.
I know you love that song. You know, you could hear. I don't think that went out over the stream, but yeah, we'll get that rocking and rolling.
Have we played that before?
Yeah, we have. I played it for you once before. I'm pretty sure I'm the one who put that in Will's folder, actually.
You know, Xavier and I saw them in concert, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
You met Boy George.
Yes. Where's Reynolds go? Elkhorn North?
Was it north or was it south? Elkhorn North, yeah.
So we got Blair today, and such a barn burner tomorrow. We got Buena Vista tomorrow.
You guys have your district yet?
Thursday.
Where's it at?
We drew Bennington. Yeah.
That's tough. Anything can happen though.
It did last year.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Our man Alex Berry came in and shut down Waverly.
Waverly's also really good this year again. That's the team you really wanted to avoid, I think. They got about 4 or 5 pitchers that are all
right and
trustworthy arms.
And they got a lot of seniors too.
Yeah.
We'll handle them the next 2.
Yeah.
That sophomore class at Northwest, that could be good.
And Waverly last year was a team that I think that experience what happened last year in the district would be good for them. They were younger last year because 2 years ago they made that state run. I think they lost in the title game 2 years ago. Is that right? Maybe it's 3 years ago.
Yeah, I think so.
Made a really good run, and then they kind of reset with the younger team. And now that they're reaping the benefits this year, it's back to being an old team again this year. I'll get Evan on the line.
Come a chameleon. You come and go.
Back in here on the Morning Hookup, joined now by Evan Bland, Omaha World Herald. Been covering baseball all weekend. Just some baseball thoughts. Maybe a thought on Sharon Moore as well. That's an interesting one.
God,
but
this is one of my favorite segments of the week.
I
love having Evan on here.
Up now.
Evan just a wealth of knowledge of everything.
Evan, good to talk to you on a Monday. How are you doing? How's your weekend?
Hey guys, yeah, doing well. Sun's out, and it's a good time to be around.
What did you make of Thew buttering you up there? Are you going to give better answers now because of that?
I'm going to do my best. I thought we were going to talk about Sharon Moore the whole time with the lead in there, so I'm happy to talk some baseball instead.
Yeah,
we'll hit you up for both.
Sharon Moore, that's an interesting one. We'll get there in just a second.
We'll ask you about the baseball first. Obviously, with the Husker baseball team coming off of a series win. A little nervous watching that thing go extras Friday night. And Elijah and I talked a little bit earlier about just the Friday night woes with Will, but Huskers able to come back, walk one off Saturday. And then, of course, seal the series win yesterday. Currently sitting right there in the thick of everything. I think they're 11th right now, and only 12 teams get in.
But you're a game back.
You're a game back from maybe being up to 7th. You got 2 series left. Michigan, who's currently 6th, they come to Lincoln for a 3-game series, and then you finish at Purdue. Is this team getting? I'm not going to say peaking per se, but are they getting a little bit better? Are they getting some better results at the right time? Obviously, they probably need to win this tournament to get into a regional, but where are you seeing things at, Evan?
Well, I think the team it's kind of figured out what it is and what it isn't, and what it isn't right now is a team that has a Friday dominant guy. And it's not to say, well, Walsh hasn't had his moments, but you think in recent years, I mean, Nebraska's had Brett Sears, who was the Big Ten Pitcher of the Year. It's had Emmett Olson. It's had Cade Povich. These were all guys that set the tone on Friday. You could pretty much pencil in or pen in 6 innings that sets up the bullpen for the weekend. So, Will Walsh has had his moments. It's been a little bit of a rougher go these last 2 weeks in terms of just getting that length and having the stuff on the pitches that he'd like to have. But I think, they've made up for it a little bit later in the weekend. Ty Horn has come on. I think his last 3 starts have probably been his best as a Husker. And then on Sundays, they've just I think they've made peace with the idea that, like, you're just going to figure it out. Like, you don't, I think we've moved past the time when you expect Jackson Brockett to give you 6 innings. If he can give you 3 or so, and you are able to piece it together with the bullpen from there, like, that's what they did yesterday. And it's not ideal necessarily, but it's what works for this team. And they figured out bullpen arms that they trust in certain situations. I think you've seen them really cut down on the number of arms that they use in these really high leverage spots, which tells you they have a good sense now of who they can trust and maybe who you don't want to see in those particular moments. And it sets up a really interesting finish where, just like last week, they find a way to win the series, and you look up at their RPI now, and they're in the low 60s. And so I know we've been saying it for a while, but they're still not out of, like, the at-large conversation. As crazy as that is, the fact that they haven't been a 500 team like they are right now since late February, since they fell out of the national rankings, but their schedule has been good enough to keep them around. They've won enough games of late to do it. And like you mentioned, the schedule with Michigan, you got Creighton tomorrow night, at Purdue, and then a Big Ten tournament, which is going to be more quality teams just because of the addition of the West Coast schools. So there's still, kind of amazingly, a lot to play for, despite some of the struggles that they've had. But I think maybe the thing that's going for Nebraska the most right now is, again, they know what their limitations are, and I think they've started to find ways to work around that to stay competitive.
And one of the things I said in hour one when you talk about limitations is I think you got to give a hat tip to Brockett for accepting and embracing that role he has on Sundays. He's been doing it really well over the last couple of weeks, which is, hey, yeah, as he said, you're not going to expect him to go 7 or 8 innings, but he steps in and he gives you it all for whenever he is in the game. It's a hat tip to him for embracing that role. But as it stands right now, on a scale of 1 to 10, what's your concern with Will Walsh on Friday nights? It's 4 straight losses, and I'd say 3 straight bad appearances for Will Walsh stepping out there on a Friday night compared to what you expect from your ace, I should say. I might be a little harsh here, but you expect your ace to set the table for the weekend.
Yeah, you do. And, like, you think back to his season, like 3 months ago, you were talking about Will Walsh as maybe the Sunday guy with Jackson Brockett. It was going to be McConaughey, Horn, and then they would figure it out on Sunday. And because of the injury to McConaughey and some good starts from Walsh, he was in the Friday role. So that was never the plan, I think, going in, was to have him in that spot. But what he has done until recently has been give you some length. Again, if you can get 6 or 7 on a Friday, that just sets up your bullpen, not just for that night, but into Saturday and Sunday as well. And so, like, that's part of what's made it so impressive that Nebraska's been able to bounce back, is they kind of have had to navigate that with some shorter outings. And Walsh's game has been less about swing and miss and more about soft contact and getting quick outs and pitching deep into games. We always see him at his best in the Big Ten tournament, it seems like. But when that stuff isn't at its best, then the soft contact becomes hard contact. And that's part of what he's battling through. He's the best strike thrower on the team, and I think that's come back to hurt him at times when he's thrown pitches that are too hittable to some decent lineups. And that's snowballed a little bit. So I don't know that if you're in Nebraska, you're at the point in the year where you feel like you can change things up too dramatically. Like if this were 2 months ago, maybe you look at moving Luke Broderick from the closer into the rotation. I mean, that's kind of his background as a starter. I don't know that you mess with that at this point. I think you just, if you're the staff, you become hyper aware of Walsh and when it's working and when it's not. And I think you have to almost be okay with saying, hey, if he doesn't have it, pull him in the 3rd or the 4th and go to a guy like Tucker Timmerman or your bullpen instead of trying to force it and get that length. So I think that's kind of part of what they're working through right now. But again, like we've seen when it works for him, it just feels like you go into that Friday night with such a wide range of outcomes when ideally you'd have a much better sense of what your ace is going to do on a given night.
We're talking with Evan Bland, Omaha World Herald. Evan, on the offensive side for this team, you were returning so many pieces outside of everyone not named Josh Caron that the expectations, I guess I speak for myself, were very high offensively on that side of the plate, and it has looked dysfunctional at times, out of sync. You kind of get the sense that they still haven't pushed all the right buttons to find that perfect lineup. The thought was to maybe have Tyler Stone or Case be the DH, the other one play first, but you got Ben Butenbach who stepped up nicely in that DH role. I think he's got 7 home runs now.
Max Ben's his dad.
Max, did I say Ben? I did. That's because I'm so used to his father.
Yeah.
Anyway, the old Hastings days. Are we close to maybe finding a lineup that's going to be sustainable and it's going to be producing the runs that we kind of all expected? Where are we at on that side of the plate?
Yeah, it's a group that I think it has found some more consistency in terms of who you've seen in the lineup. I mean, Caden Brumbaugh near the top has become a fixture. We're starting to see late season Gabe Swanson, and that's one of the biggest things. I think he sort of embodies to me the Nebraska offense, where when he's hitting balls hard and producing runs, like the team looks pretty good and can hang with just about anybody. When he's not, then it just feels like it's more of a grind. It's harder to generate runs and to figure things out. And Will Bold often says, like, it's hard to string together 3 straight singles or a walk and a couple hits. It's a lot easier when you can get some instant offense with the home runs. Not that you want to rely on that, but it's just it's valuable when you have that. And Nebraska struggled in that regard. You just look at their home run totals; they're not all that high, and so you do have to figure out other ways to do it. It often comes down to clutch hitting with them, and that's a big reason why they lost Friday's game. You go 1 for 15 with runners in scoring position, and they were able to have those clutch hits the last couple of games. They had that clutch hit against Kansas State last Tuesday, which is obviously the reason they won that game too. So I think that's kind of what it comes down to: is are they able to execute in those key moments with a hit, with a productive out, move the runners? I think the players, kind of like on the pitching side, like the batters sort of are what they are at this point. You kind of know certain guys are maybe more willing or able to work walks and counts. Some other guys, you just kind of feel like it's going to be, you hope they run into one on that day. Maybe the on base isn't as high as they'd like it to be. So I think when they're at their best, they're kind of doing the bolt ball, hitting runs, taking the extra base, working walks, getting starters out early in the game. And when they're not, it's kind of, again, you're leaving guys on base and that sort of thing. They have cut the strikeouts down, which I think has become a positive trend here in the last month or so. They've embraced a little bit more of the small ball thing. I mean, they didn't have a sacrifice bunt for like a month, and that's been something that they've turned back to as well. So, maybe it's like last year where guys get hot. A year ago, it was Caron and Swanson who did the bulk of the heavy lifting late in the year. Maybe that's Swanson and Ty Stone or Max Butenbach and Caden Brumbaugh. Like, there are guys who've now done it. It's just a matter of, can they do it? And again, it feels like you don't always know, even from day to day, what you're going to get from that offense. It's a pretty wide range of outcomes. When it works, it's great. When it doesn't, man, it can be pretty confounding.
Evan Bland with us here. And Evan, one final thought on baseball before we do get your thoughts on Sharon Moore and that suspension, because that's an important game for the Husker football team. Creighton, back in town on Tuesday. It's a series that in recent years for Nebraska has not gone well, especially at home. It feels like Creighton has come into Haymarket Park time and time again and stolen games. What's the expectation for you? I guess what's kind of the mood around this Husker baseball team regarding this Creighton series?
Yeah, I mean, again, like when you're talking about at-large possibilities, like Creighton and Nebraska are both in the low 60s in RPI, which means a strong finish from either of those teams could put them in the at-large discussion. So it is important in that regard. Of course, this is the rubber match of the in-state series as well. Usually there are not 2 games in Lincoln. Usually there are 2 in Omaha, but Nebraska gets the third one in Haymarket this time. So you can bet, I mean, both teams are going to be plenty motivated to try to win this thing, the last midweek game for Nebraska this season. And I mean, that's really what it boils down to is in-state bragging rights, and can you win this thing from an RPI perspective? You win tonight, your RPI might be inside the top 60, and that puts you right on the bubble. I mean, squarely on the bubble. You win your last 2 weekend series from there, or have a good tournament showing, like you're in the mix on Selection Sunday. So I do think this game is important in that regard. We'll see. Kind of emotionally, that always seems to be the key, is where is Nebraska emotionally? We know Creighton always gets up for these games. These crowds that they play in front of are bigger than they typically do anywhere else in their season. And so if Nebraska is properly locked in, you tend to see a good game. If they're not, Creighton tends to find a way. So I think we'll learn a little bit more about both of these teams on Tuesday. Should be a fun one.
Evan Blaine with us here, the Omaha World Herald, talking some Husker baseball. It's the morning hookup. And Evan, let's switch gears here, talk Husker football, the news of the morning. Sharon Moore, head coach at Michigan, will not be on the sideline in late September here in Lincoln. Is a self-imposed 2-game suspension will keep him out against Central Michigan and against Nebraska. With as important a game that is for Nebraska, I mean, your quick reaction, your thoughts on the fact that Michigan's going to have to come to town and do it without a head coach.
Yeah, it feels like this is all too familiar with Michigan the last couple of years, right? Like this isn't the first time they've had to deal with that. I mean, obviously it's a huge game for Nebraska. They'll be coming off of that Houston Christian game, and then they don't play again the following week after Michigan. So, I mean, really, people I think are going to be talking about this game for probably 3 weeks, just because of the stakes that are involved. And I think it really comes down to what's the value of a head coach on a game day. And I think there's more value in close games. Like it's one thing if your team's up big and your interim guy can just kind of oversee things. To me, it's another thing if this game comes down to the fourth quarter and you have to communicate things quickly, make quick evaluations and assessments. And if you have a guy, your head coach isn't there, and you have other staffers in unfamiliar roles, and they're in the heat of the battle at Memorial Stadium at whatever time of day that's going to be, maybe that's a small thing that could make a difference. A play call or a penalty here or there. Like we've seen how small that margin for error is between winning and losing games in the Big Ten. So maybe something plays into that. That's a possibility, but definitely something to keep note of ahead of what's definitely one of Nebraska's biggest games of next season.
Evan, I've got a recruiting question for you. Obviously, this past week, Nebraska goes out and they get their cornerstone for the 2027 class in quarterback Trey Taylor, a very, very highly ranked national recruit. Nebraska, I guess, had been on him since they make it sound like third grade. And he is going to be one that Nebraska is going to probably rely on for a lot of peer recruiting. He's already been out and doing this. I guess the realist side of me, having a son who's also just a sophomore in high school who changes his mind 3 times in the car on where he wants to eat, how solidified are commitments like this? I know that you want to go out and you want to get that quarterback early. It happens for every school nowadays, but I guess I don't know if you've had a chance to visit with him on how solidified he is in that pledging to Nebraska. And also, what is Nebraska getting with this recruit as well?
Yeah, I mean, totally get like the kind of the hesitation when you get a guy committing this early. One thing about his story is kind of like you mentioned. I mean, he took his first game day visit to Michigan State when he was in 5th grade, got his first offer when he was in 7th grade. And so what his family often says is he has already been in the recruiting process for longer than most prospects will be that are committing in older classes now. So like he's been to 70 plus campuses. He's seen what he wants to see. And so in that sense, this is not a rush commitment, from Nebraska's perspective. I mean, this is a kid who's a top 7 or 8 quarterback prospect in his class. And so, it's, even if it is a little early, like you probably don't want to be in the business of saying no to a kid like that who wants to commit at this point. Now, again, things change, obviously. I mean, Nebraska's current starting quarterback, Dylan Raiola, was committed to 2 other schools before he was ended up at Nebraska late in that signing process. So absolutely, things change. Coaches leave, programs get better and get worse. NIL and rev share play a factor in ways that they haven't before. But I do think, Taylor's a guy who, again, did his research on things. He's kind of wired. He kind of reminds me a little bit of Casey Thompson, where he's just got like tunnel vision for the process and for the film and to get better. Like, he's a guy who loves the football piece more than sort of the stuff that comes with it. So yeah, I mean, your signing day is 20 months away. There are no givens here, but the fact that he chose Nebraska and his commitment, I think, is different from Dylan Raiola's in the sense that Taylor has no previous connection to Nebraska. He's not a legacy. He's not, I mean, he could have gone anywhere, and coming from Illinois where he is, like, Nebraska is not a big deal there. He didn't grow up a Husker fan. So the fact that a recruit of that caliber would take note of what Nebraska is doing, I think can be significant potentially for future recruiting momentum. So we'll see. Like, again, 27 is a ways off. He probably wouldn't be in the mix to start for another year or two beyond that. But just the fact that they can attract the attention and the commitment of a guy like that speaks to some of the momentum going on with Nebraska right now.
It's Evan Bland with us here, Omaha World Herald. And Evan, are you a boxing guy? You have any thoughts on Terrence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez officially announced? We're going to get into that next segment. Do you have a reaction? It's been one that's been rumored for a while. You thought it maybe got scratched. Well, we're going to have it, and it's going to be the night before Nebraska-Houston Christian.
I mean, that's cool. I have limited knowledge on boxing. I can recognize the greatness of Terrence Crawford, like just what he's been able to do for so long. I mean, you watch him battle in the ring, and like, that's a guy who's just incredibly confident. I think back to when he talked with the Nebraska team, was it a year or two ago, and just the speech he gave them about, diamonds can come from anywhere, and this particular diamond came from Omaha, and just a cool success story for the state to rally around. He's a star in the boxing world. There's no doubt about it. So I'm glad to see he's back out there. He's never shied away from a challenge, and I'm sure he's going to give everyone another great show.
It's Evan Bland with us here, the Omaha World Herald. Find him on Twitter/X at Evan Bland OWH. Evan, appreciate you checking in with us on a Monday. We'll get caught up with you next week, and I guess here locally on KFOR, we'll get caught up with you on Wednesday afternoon on the Average Joe Sports Show.
Sounds great. Thanks, guys.
All right, thanks, Evan.
Thanks, Evan. I like the little free shout out I just gave myself.
It's okay. Same channel.
It is same channel. That's why I'm throwing it out there.
Same channel.
Can't thank Evan enough for hopping on with us, talking some Husker baseball and a little Husker football. We'll step aside here. We'll talk Bud Crawford and Canelo Alvarez. Officially announced. They had a little face-off in the ring on Saturday night. We'll get into that after the break here on the Morning Hookup on KFOR.
I usually do a pretty decent job just music popping in my head for certain topics.
This is a good one. This is a good one.
I would either do that or the 3-6 Mafia.
I'll stay away from 3-6 Mafia.
It's a clean. Well,
yeah, you never know with them.
No, you're right. I had as a walk-up song for our celebrity softball game out there at Haymarket Park.
I picked a Kanye song, which doesn't look good in
It's
hindsight.
a fight. It's hit him with the left, hit him with the right. It's a fight. It's the
I had to check and make sure that there is no dirty words in there. We're good.
That one's not.
We're good. We're good.
Now the 3-6 Mafia one, yeah.
With them, I mean,
yeah, I had to
3-6 Mafia.
I had to make sure they had a certain post on there just to.
Aren't 3-6 Mafia the reason why we have parental guidance, parental advisories on music?
I think that's 2 Live Crew.
You're right. You're right. Yeah, 2 Live Crew is even worse than 3-6 Mafia.
I think that's when that first started out. It was 2 Live Crew.
Oh, 2 Live Crew. That went all the way to like national government, if I remember correctly. That was a big deal.
Imagine him playing.
He went Supreme Court.
Yeah, imagine playing some of those songs in there with the 80-year-old blue hair senators listening to that.
We're coming back here.
Don't call it a comeback. I've been here for years. I'm rocking my pants, putting suckers in fear, making the tears rain down like a monsoon. Listen to the bass go boom, explosion.
One final time here, a Monday edition of the Morning Hookup. Elijah Herbal, Hugh Malone with you on a Monday. Bill Hooks out today. Important business meetings, apparently. Somebody told you, that's what he told me.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's only a matter of time before Bill probably runs for mayor.
I'd vote for him.
I would too. But under the premise that he would still have time for his morning show. That's more important than any budgetary things.
City government.
Right, city government.
He's going to talk
Bill
sports for 2 hours.
Bill's got a lot of stokes in the fire. Popular guy.
I think if he were to be elected mayor, which we're way out here now, and had a morning radio, the call-ins would probably be pretty wild. You ever watch some of the city council meetings?
Yes. We would have a call-in about football, and then we would have a call-in about potholes, all within 5 minutes, and it would be epic.
And then a call-in about some neighbor who's annoying you, like
Right.
Those city council
because their football is too loud.
Yeah. City council meetings can be a lot of fun if you ever get the chance to sit down and watch some of those. I'll sit down in the newsroom sometimes on slow days and just be like, I guess I'll see what's going on in the city council meetings. And you go,
Yes. Like the guy who wanted to make some law or something about
boneless wings,
saucy nugs or something.
That went viral.
Yes. I gotta find something like that.
Then you have those guys out in California that go in there and they're like they're all just personas. It's not real, but
they want to outlaw burlap or something strange like that.
Yeah, and then legalize boats or something like that. They're like from like mental health. Like we need to have boats. You ever feel sad on a boat with a cold brew in your hand?
Well, our rejoin was Mama Said Knock You Out. LL Cool J brings us to our final topic here of our morning hookup show on a Monday. We've got
the return of Bud Crawford.
Yes.
And it's the fight everyone's been waiting for. It's the fight everyone's had circled really since Errol Spence. There was about a 2-year stretch where it felt like Errol Spence was ducking Bud Crawford. Finally got that fight. Took care of him convincingly.
Yes. Now, I mean, Errol wasn't at tip-top form, but Bud made
Errol Spence had he was ducking him, and then he had a car wreck during that process and came back from the car wreck, and I think he had one warm-up fight before he fought Bud following the car wreck. And yeah, he wasn't the Errol Spence of old, but Bud Crawford also makes a lot of people look rusty.
He does. Since then, Bud has gone up one weight class and won by decision. And a lot of people say that it doesn't, it's a lot harder to look as powerful when you move up these weight classes.
And he didn't look as convincing. Still got the win.
And now he's going to be asked to step up another weight class against the cat's meow for that weight class in Canelo.
And the thought was that maybe Bud Crawford's team would put some sort of water stipulation in there. So Canelo wouldn't be able to be 15 pounds over the weight limit by fight night, but they're going to weigh in. They're going to be able to rehydrate up. So Canelo will be the bigger fighter. The one thing that stood out, they announced this on Saturday in Saudi Arabia.
Yes.
After Canelo got a win, and it was unconvincing manner, but it was kind of a boring fight.
Like a tune-up sparring match.
Yeah, it just felt like a business decision tune-up for Canelo,
so he could get his unified belts. For September.
Not a very convincing performance, but now he gets to step up, and it's the fight everyone's been calling for. When I think of like the great boxing matches over the last 20 years, this is going to be up there. I think of Mayweather Pacquiao. I think of Fury Wilder. Bud Crawford against Canelo Alvarez will be of that same ilk. It's going to be that hyped up. You got Dana White that's going to be doing some promotion for this fight. Going to be out in Vegas. They're doing it at the Raiders Stadium.
See, for me, and unfortunately ended in half of a near loss, but Holyfield and Tyson, that was the one that we all waited for when I was younger.
Yep. I think this is going to be that by the time early fall rolls around, there's going to be a lot of hype behind this fight.
Well,
there's already hype right now.
I'm genuinely. It was funny because my son asked me about this after we left PBA Saturday. He even brought this up because the announcement had come out, and he asked me, "Do you think Crawford's going to win?" I said, "I think he can." I said, "I'm not as certain as I have been in the past. I'm nervous."
Yeah.
Well, these weight jumps, that's no big deal. I mean, you're fighting guys that can hit harder and can also take punches better.
And Canelo has dealt damage. He's got power. He's going to have the power advantage over Bud here, unquestionably. Bud's got to have the speed on him. One thing that stood out from the face-off that we had on Saturday night was he didn't look as small next to Canelo as I thought.
Right. Yeah, he looked like he belonged.
The question's going to be, how well does he manage increased weight? Is he going to be a guy that is 10, 15 pounds lighter than Canelo on fight night, or is he going to be able to add weight the right way and be that same size as Canelo on fight night? That's going to be a big question to me in terms of how is he able to take Canelo's punches, because Canelo, from a weight perspective, I think his power to weight ratio is as good as anyone in boxing.
Right.
He generates ridiculous power. He makes it look easy. If he catches Bud clean, you worry about Bud going to the canvas.
Sure.
It's as simple as that. But Bud Crawford is battle tested in his own regard. As Evan said, a diamond will shine anywhere, and he's proven he can shine out in Nebraska. He carries that chip on his shoulder, and this for him is the career-defining fight.
It is, because I wouldn't be surprised that how much longer he would go if he does win. I think regardless, win or lose, on how much longer he's going to go. But this is the defining moment, I think, actually for both of these fighters, because there's been that discussion for at least the past 6, 7, 8 years on who is. Because we really haven't had this discussion probably since, maybe like Roy Jones, someone like that, on, who is the best pound for pound fighter in the world. Now, it would have been excellent to get these guys to decide it, a few years back before, Crawford started to get into his upper 30s. You don't see boxers getting better usually when they get that age, but it is definitely a defining moment for both of these fighters. And it's not even just the belts. It's that bragging rights to be able to go down in history as one of the best.
And you look back at the fights for Canelo, there's been some fight. I mean, you had the trilogy against Golovkin, which you thought could be career defining, but there was one draw and then he got the next two after that. So ended up being Canelo was head and shoulders above. So that's not really it. He lost to Mayweather in a big time fight, but again, that doesn't feel career defining. This to me feels again somewhat career defining for Canelo. How does he go out? Because I think this is probably near the end of his career. He's at almost 70 professional boxing matches.
Right. And the one against Mayweather, that was early on in his career, toward the end of Mayweather's, when Mayweather was probably one of the best defensive fighters that there ever was. That you couldn't hit him square.
Yeah, Canelo couldn't touch him that right. But then for Bud, he's done everything he can in the previous two weight classes. It's now, this is the money fight. This is the career defining fight. This is the legacy fight. It's really who is the fighter of this generation.
Yes.
It's between Canelo and Bud. The two guys get to square off now. Like, who is the fighter that defines 2015 to 2025? It's between those two guys right now.
It'll be interesting, because I'm sure, Vegas sets odds and all kinds of stuff on how that comes out. Would not be surprised if Crawford is probably a slight underdog when those odds do get set as we get closer toward September 12th. But yeah, you hit the nail on the head. That right. He carries the flag for us right now. So it'll be fun.
The early odds, Canelo Alvarez. This is really early. This is before the fight's even officially announced. Canelo Alvarez minus 220 on the money line. Bud Crawford plus 170. So you do have that slight favorite for Canelo. But that fight's coming up in September. That'll do it for us. Hugh Malone, Elijah Herbal on a Monday edition of the Morning Hookup. Bill Hook should be back in tomorrow. That's when we'll talk to you again. Thanks for hanging out. See you on a Tuesday.
See ya.